between that time then, inclusive all the way to now, and what is happening in Ukraine? Why is it important for someone like you, for example, to put out the right kind of information about Ukraine?
Well, we have been through a history of misinformation in South Africa. The whole the apartheid era was based on disinformation, indoctrinating the
propaganda,
white population, telling them that they were superior to black people, telling black people that they were inferior to black people, so telling black people that they were inferior to white people. And so it was important to overcome that, to overcome that propaganda. And in the New South Africa, obviously, we were free media and so on. But we also faced a scourge of disinformation during the years of Jacob Zuma, who basically projected his own corruption as a way of empowering black people. So we, as a media, we had to fight that. That misinformation. And now with this war in the Ukraine, what has happened is that there is a very big push with Russia trying to align itself, telling itself that there's a natural alliance between themselves and Africa, and between themselves and South Africa, because they supported the liberation movements all over the continent and so on. And that narrative has actually found fertile ground in parts of Africa and in South Africa. And it's
especially on social media.
Exactly. And it's important to correct that and actually say, you are not the successor to the Soviet Union. You're actually an imperialist, and you're actually you're an aggressor. You're an aggressor. And you're actually, in fact, you're a colonizer in Ukraine at the moment. So I think that narrative needs to be defeated, and that the world actually gets to know that what's happening is wrong. It's a violation of international law and human rights.
Before I go to my francophone friend, you clearly, to me, I mean, I don't know any of you, but you come off to me as someone who's quite seasoned in terms of your knowledge and expertise. But the pen dries up quite fast when it comes to the truth. So, I mean, why is it important for Africa? I mean, people could argue, I mean, you know why. But why is it important for us to, like you're speaking, to walk the talk and really write the issues as they are, to call Russia the aggressor, to call them out for trying to, line the pockets of African leaders, to sway, sort of their allegiance or support. Why is it important for us to have that conversation, including the Ukraine president asking, for example, to speak in the Kenya parliament and being denied a chance because people don't want to pick a side? By not picking a side, you're picking a side. Why is it important for us to write about these things without fear?
It is important for us to fight for the truth. It's important for us to actually fight disinformation, which is actually a very fancy word for lies. Because as Africans, we know what lies have done. Lies created, basically in the form of incitement, created the genocide in Rwanda, and created the carnage that we saw here in Kenya about 15 years ago, and a lot of what we see around the world. And in our own country, I mean, like we've had bouts of xenophobia, basically people spreading information that foreigners are here to take our jobs, to take our women, and all of that. So it's important for us. I mean, like we should not just see this as a narrow issue of just Russian disinformation in Kyiv. It's actually about the truth. We're actually fighting for the truth and actually doing away with lies. So I think that's why we as people in the media, but also just we as generally in public, we must be careful about spreading information that we are not sure that it's the truth, and that actually we must desist from doing that, because it is dangerous. It actually leads to destruction. It leads to the misery, the loss of lives, and that is what we're seeing in Ukraine. And I think that let's fight disinformation.
It leads to the breakdown of society as we know it. My francophone friend, you clearly look like the youngest person in the room. I just want to know from you your perspective in terms of social media and how maybe you're now based in, which country are you based in now?
In Senegal.
In Senegal.
Yes.
I mean, what are some of the challenges you see in terms of just information getting out quickly on social media, on TikTok? I mean, somebody comes out with a fake press release from one of our newspapers and it comes out as the truth, and and it just moves. What are some of the challenges young people face in terms of the truth, and how do you think we can combat that, and especially with regards to Ukraine?
I mean, the issue with the Russian and Ukraine conflict affects also Africans. So specifically in my region, I mean Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, who today we can see Russian come into these countries, right? And we need, as journalists, because I'm working for Africa Check, as I said, we need as journalists to fight all this disinformation about that, because we need to understand very well what's happened. And it's not easy when we have a lot of, false information, false claims around social media. So it's our work, as said my colleague, it's our work to bring the good narrative or the right narrative, fight disinformation, mainly on social media, because in Senegal, for instance, young people take information mainly on social media. So the work in social media is very important, and we are focused on it in our daily work.
And finally, what about the user, the end user, the person consuming the truth? Where can we go to when we want to find out if this is a lie? I don't think I should put it out. You know, in Africa, we like this thing of forwarded as received. So you receive from your mom, but you realize she's received from a women's group or and now it's been forwarded everywhere and it's a lie. What can we do when we are not sure about the truth? Where can we go? How can we better ourselves in terms of information?
So one of our strategies now is to be interactive with our public. So we say to the public, if you see something that seems wrong, just ask to Africa Check to verify.
That's africacheck.com.
Yes, and it works. Also on WhatsApp, is one of the main channel where misinformation circulates right now. So we have an WhatsApp channel where people can send us different content that they receive from families group, friends group, and we verify and we share in the same platform, because the idea is that if you want to fight misinformation, you should go where the misinformation is. If it's on Facebook, you go find a post saying that it's not true. So you're saying one of the tools we can use is Africa Check. It's africacheck.com. Yes. africacheck.org.
So it's africacheck.org. So africacheck.org. I mean, guys, I know I stole you from your tour, but everyone else who didn't come in, I know they are having a difficult time. But thank you so much for coming through. I'm gonna let my Kiev fellow have the final word. What is the situation in Ukraine?